Now rocking with the best. Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie, you're listening to the fighter's voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast. We got a great show for you lined up today. We're going to talk about some events that's been happening, some news, breaking news, a little bit of controversy, and then we're going to get to our guest, Mr. Robert Garcia. But before we start our show, I want to do something special. I normally don't do this, and nobody's asked me to do this. This is just coming from the bottom of my heart. Recently, we lost one of our own. And when I say one of our own, I mean one of our, I would just describe this gentleman as he was media. He was also a competitor as far as a trainer, and he also competed in the sport of boxing. And we lost a dear friend and a good person on this earth, and that's Mr. Michael Cornell. Michael had the hashtag Fight Mike Fight. He kept his head up, and he fought the good fight as best as he could. Mike battled cancer. And cancer didn't get his way with Michael. Michael won his rounds, and they were going back and forth, toe-to-toe. And at the very end, Michael had cancer up against the ropes. But in this bout, sometimes the trainer called the fight to a halt. And in this particular time, I want to say the trainer is Jesus Christ and brought Michael back where he needs to be 100%, and that's in heaven. So our hearts are with the family. Our thoughts are with Michael Cornell, who's a personal friend of mine. And we dedicate this segment with Robert Garcia to Michael Cornell. Thank you. Robert, my man, how we doing, man?
I'm doing good, Richard. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, you know what, Robert? I would always describe you when you'd come on the show. I said, ladies and gentlemen, world-class trainer, Hall of Fame trainer. But you know what? I want to introduce you as a former world champion. I mean, people forget about that. They always it's always Robert the trainer. But a lot of people, it's not that they forget about it. It's just you're okay. You have Robert the world champion, and then you got Robert the trainer. But the trainer has been defending his belt. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Your accomplishments.
Right, and you know, and right now, I won my title in '98. So right now, some of the champions weren't even born when I was champion. So you know, it's just a new generation, new kids in boxing that had no idea I was a boxer. You know, they're growing up seeing me as a trainer. So you know, I don't mind. You know, I actually enjoy being recognized as a trainer better than as a fighter.
You know what? I'm glad you answered that, because that was going to be my next question. What do you miss the most, or what gives you the most gratitude? You know, the most the high of all highs, and you just answered.
You know what? I enjoy training my fighters and bringing them from the amateurs to the pros to world champions, or those fighters that have come to me after a loss and people have already lost faith in them, and we bring them back and win titles. That's the most important feeling there. You know, way more than myself winning a title. You know, I did my boxing career and became a world champion and had a couple title defenses, but never. I just going back. I never really loved the sport. You know, when I was doing it myself, I did it because I was good at it, I guess, and because I grew up since I was 5 years old. That's when I had my first amateur fight when I was 5 years old. So I pretty much grew up in boxing because my dad put me in boxing and had me in boxing all my years as a kid. You know, I didn't have a chance to do anything else. So you know, it was my dad it wasn't my choice. It was my dad that put me in boxing. But now as a trainer, I think that's, you know, that's what I love the most.
Well, I mean, you're always giving back, Robert. And I was going to ask you, how do you stay motivated, man? How do you stay with the same hunger from an amateur fighter to a professional fighter to a seasoned fighter to a vet to, I mean, you know, world class Jose Ramirez, Mikey Garcia. I mean, numerous bouts. So how do you stay motivated, brand new?
Well, the fighters themselves, you know, motivate me to want it even more because they show me how much they want it. You know, young fighters like, you know, like Franco or a Bam, Jose Ramirez, who trains like nobody else in the gym. You know, they motivate me to also want it bad. You know, if I was to walk in the gym and I have nothing but lazy fighters and they're all 20, 30 pounds overweight, then I'm not going to be motivated either, you know. But, you know, the kids being there on time and training hard and not waiting for me to call them to step into the gym. They walk in, right when I get there. So, you know, they push me to want it as bad as they want it.
You know, talk about motivation. And you just mentioned Jose Ramirez. I mean, hard worker and so motivated now. He's going to be competing in Fresno, California, March 4th, man. I mean, getting back into the ring. And it's not his opponent isn't no slouch by any chance of imagination. It's southpaw. I mean, Pedroza, he's ready. And in his mindset, he don't see himself as an opponent. But hats off to Jose. I mean, he could have, you know, let's come back, let's take this opponent. But he wants to jump right back in the mix.
Well, that's one thing about Jose. You know, Jose lost his last fight, and there was a fight that, you know, it hurt us. It hurt the whole team. Yeah. I'm sure it hurt Jose pretty bad too. But he wants to come back strong. You know, he doesn't want to come back with an easy fight, and you know where most of the times you lose a fight like he's been winning quite a few fights in a row and looking very impressive. So it definitely will not be an easy fight.
No, and talk about not an easy fight. I want to get first of all. I want to congratulate Bam Rodriguez, and let's talk about the way that this kind of panned out because his first title shot was supposed to happen in Fresno, California, on the undercard of Mikey Garcia. When that
Correct.
bout fell through, of course, you know, he was upset, disappointed. But I remember after interviewing him, he was so strong-minded. He said, "You know what?" He said, "Richard, I got to trust the process." And he said, my time will come and I'll be ready. And without hesitation, when he got the call, or his management team got the call, you got the call, and we're talking about two different weight classes above his normal weight class. Without a blink of an eye, he accepted it. What was that conversation like, Robert?
Well, you know what? Like you said, you know, back in October in his last fight, he was supposed to fight for the 108, you know, the 108 WBA title. But due to some, well, they told us it was visa problems. But now I kind of want to believe that it wasn't even that. I think that the champion just didn't want to fight him and made up an excuse not to come and fight. Because 2 weeks before the fight, everything was still lined up for the fight to happen. But, you know, he pulled out and they found a replacement. But things happen for a reason. Look, we're getting ready for another fight here. 5 days before the fight, they called me and they thought it was just like they kind of told me like a joke. People from Matchroom called me and says, Robert, is Jesse crazy enough to jump 2 divisions to fight Cuadras? And now the first thing I asked was did his opponent pull out? And they told me, well, he's sick. He got sick, not COVID, but he's sick, so he's pulling out. I said, okay, then make the fight happen. I don't have to talk to Jesse because I already know his answer. So I called the father right away. The father called Jesse, and the answer was yes, without even thinking about it. It was not, you know, like, oh, well, we're jumping up 2 divisions, or a lot of, you know, it's a business too. So a lot of fighters ask, how much more am I going to get paid or whatever? You know, no, this kid didn't even care about the payday. He never even asked how much he was making. He just said, make that fight happen. He's been waiting for a title opportunity. And look, it happened at a different weight division, but it was, you know, it's like things were meant to be like that because this win made him a superstar.
It did, but the whole world gets to know what you already knew. I mean, you and Mikey been confessing this for a day because honestly, I mean, he doesn't even have a chance to enjoy this one bout. We already know he's going to have numerous bouts in different weight classes. I mean, that's the plan. That's the ticket going Bam's direction.
Exactly. We've said it many times. I've said that he could be 5-6 division champion, and we were planning on starting at 108. If we could still get an opportunity to fight for the title at 108, we will go down to 108. But I doubt any of the champions are gonna want to give Jesse an opportunity. So maybe 112, we will come down. But we've said it for a couple of years already. Myself, Mikey, my son Pita, my dad, everybody in the gym, we know it because we see it in the gym. Maybe the boxing world didn't know, but last Saturday was the day where the world found out who Jesse is.
Yeah, and you said the boxing world. Half the boxing world right now, today's media, they're not even going to know the comparison. Me and you are. He reminds me of a modern day Ricardo Lopez.
Exactly. You don't hear this that often. Where one of your fighters win, and you see people from athletes, boxers from all over the world, or congratulating him. You have big names like Ryan Garcia mentioning him, Shakur Stevens, Errol Spence, and so on. There many him. Phone calls that I was getting from people that I never expected to call me to congratulate me. It was just that impact that he did, moving up in two weight divisions, 5-day notice, and putting that performance that he did. That it was news for everybody. It caught everybody off guard and made him a superstar.
Hey man, I wasn't gonna miss that fight. Actually, I was Robert. I'm dressed up. I'm ready to go out. Got time. But I said, okay, hold on a second. One more round. And then after the fifth, at fifth, I said, okay, this fight's over. But no, I had to watch it, not just walk away knowing he had it. No, I had to hear the verdict, because in boxing, boxing is boxing.
Exactly. You know what? Throughout the fight, we knew it was an easy fight. We knew it was a very dangerous fight. Jesse listened to instructions. He followed instructions. He did what we told him to do. There was a few occasions where he got himself into exchanges where he was in danger. But, he told us he was never hurt, but he did feel the power. He did feel the experience and power that Quadras had. But, he did what we told him to do. One thing that he does is he listens. He believes in his team and follow instructions, and the results were perfect.
They were perfect, and they are perfect. One last thing, and then we're going to move on from Bam. What was his intensity like the very next day after he getting the call? Now he's training for a championship fight. Did his intensity change at all? Was his demeanor the same? There had to be some kind of spark. What did you notice as a trainer, Robert?
Well, you know what? The kid had that. He was already like that since his last fight when he was going to fight for the title. He knew the title fight was going to come sooner than later. So when they call us 5 days, it's not like we had to change sparring or anything, because we were already finished with training camp. As you know, everybody does their last sparring session the week before the fight. So we were already finished with sparring. We were already finished with training camp. All we have to, the last week, is just to rest and obviously make weight. Those that have to make weight. So that's all we had to do. So nothing changed in reality. He already knew the title fight was going to come sooner than later. We didn't expect it to come that soon, but he was ready for it. He was already ready for it. It's not like something had to change. It was meant to be.
I agree with you. It was meant to be. I want to congratulate you on something, but if I do, I'm going to take away from someone's questionnaire. So we're going to go to a few questions first, and then we're going to talk about Jose Ramirez, and we're going to get in depth on his training camp. Then we're also going to talk about some fighters that are in the news. This first one is coming from Bernardo Osuna from ESPN. Right. And this is him talking to me. He says, bro, he has crowned 14 champions, but what makes Bam special? What does Bam take? How does Bam take the risk rather than finding an excuse not to fight for the title, moving up 2 weight classes he's talking about? About Bam and these undefeated fighters today. What is the difference that Bam brings to the table? This is from ESPN's Bernardo Osuna.
You know what, Bernardo, Bam is just one of the special kids. I know the weight division is not easy. That's why, when I brought in the kid, I knew he was going to be a smaller weight class, so that's why I got in touch with Mr. Honda. Mr. Honda taking promotions since his pro debut. They've been supporting him. They've been backing us up 100%. But I had a little bit of struggles, as you guys know. Bam, the talent that he's got is unbelievable. But his weight division is one of those weight divisions where it doesn't really attract many promoters. So I fought him on a few PBC cards, never got the attention of the main person to tell me we want to sign him. We fought him on a couple of top ranked cards too. They all told me, God damn, this kid is so good, but they never told me they wanted to sign him. I approached Carl Moretti. I told Carl Moretti many times. I told Brad Goodman, which is my really good friend. I said, let's sign this kid. Oh yeah, we will. Always told me we will. But I think it's the weight division that it just didn't catch their attention. Mr. Honda never stopped helping us out. He always supported us 100%. And Mikey fights on Matchroom, and Mikey was able to get Eddie Hearn to get Bam on that same card and get us that title fight. The title fight obviously never happened, but we were on that card. So they liked his performance. Obviously, he looked sensational. So still didn't sign him. But when we got the call for the title fight, that's when we got a contract, because they obviously already is a world title fight, and if we win they were obviously not going to be
that's the business
dumb enough to make him a world champion and then let him go sign with everybody else. Because believe me, after he became champion, I got called from the same people that didn't want to sign him before, telling me, why did what happened? Why did we lose him? Well, you guys never gave me that contract. Never gave me that contract. I love working with everybody. With all those guys that used to fight him, but Matchroom is the one. Eddie Hearn is the one that gave me that contract, and now we're signed to Matchroom. It's a 3-fight deal, but I'm happy that Matchroom was able to put this together, and they got so many big fights for him at 115, 112, 108, even 108 if we can. They promote like 3 champions at 108. So we could go down to 108. They promote a few champions at 112 also. So I think Matchroom is the perfect match for Bam Rodriguez.
Very well said. That was going to be my next question. How do you see this prospect? I know if I was a baseball scout, I'm saying, okay, we're signing this kid. We got to sign this kid. He has a golden arm and so forth. Hey, you did your job as a trainer / manager / advisor / whatever, because you fit all those subjects, Robert. But
right,
I don't understand how you let this gazelle, this horse, this with the right pedigree, go unsigned. At the end of the day, Eddie Hearn is saying, you know what? I'm going to lick my chops all the way down to the bank and all the way down to pay-per-views, because Eddie Hearn likes to challenge himself. We may have Bam in the first of this year pay-per-view headliner at the lower weight division.
You know what? I'm glad Eddie Hearn and Kevin Rooney, who did a lot to make this happen. I've been talking to Kevin Rooney for a few months already, a while back on Bam, and he's huge on Bam, and he helped a lot, make this happen. So I definitely owe a lot of thanks to Kevin. He knows it. Every time I see him, I told him he's part of what making this happen. But the talent was there. The footwork, the power. He fought. You guys seen
being
him
a
on
southpaw
ESPN
too
during the pandemic. The world seen him during the pandemic. His performances on ESPN were unbelievable, but we're never able to get that contract. And I'm telling you, it's not like I'm not lying about it. I talked to Carl Moretti a few times. When are we going to sign him? When are we going to sign him? Oh yeah, we'll sign him, but never did. So came this opportunity with Matchroom, and Matchroom they've been great to us, great to the team and to Jesse. Jesse is very happy with how it all ended up, where we ended up staying at. And I think the future is crazy, because Eddie Hearn's already talking about a possible fight between him and Gallo Estrada and Chocolatito. But I think it was yesterday when I'm glad the WBA also ordered that Estrada has to fight Franco, which is Jesse's older brother.
Yeah.
So now they have 30 days to negotiate. If not, it's going to go to first bid. So, Josh will fight Gallo Estrada, both brothers from San Antonio, uh, both champions at 115. Can't get any better. That's a great story right there.
It is. And I saw I saw one tweeted the other, said, "Hey brother, let's unify." Joking around with a handshake.
You know what?
Yeah.
I called him right away and said, "Stop that! Don't even mention that because I'm never gonna allow that to happen. That's never gonna happen." So I know you guys are joking around, but people might believe it. The sanctioning bodies might believe it. And I said, "Look, right now, your brother Franco already has a mandatory to fight against Gallo Estrada. So if you guys are challenging each other, maybe the WBA might say, oh well, the kids might fight each other, so let's give Gallo Estrada somebody else." I told him, "No, please stop that because you're fighting Gallo Estrada, and if you want to be the best at that division, then you guys each go your own direction, but no, you don't be challenging each other because people might actually believe it. The sanctioning bodies might believe it, and they could pick somebody else instead of." I told them they might get somebody else to fight Gallo Estrada instead of you because you're over here challenging your brother. Even though it's a joke,
Yeah.
They might take it for real. They might take it personally.
Yeah, they might, and they may see those dollar signs. Now,
Exactly.
this is coming from two-time world champion Fernando Vargas. He says, "Richard, it doesn't surprise me. Another world champion made by my compa Robert Garcia, the best trainer in the world. Congrats, compa."
That's my compadre Fernando Vargas, and I also I had the chance to that same day his son fought in Vegas, and we were able to watch the fight on our phones, and he looked very good, very impressive. I'm really happy for my compa
Another
Fernando,
southpaw.
and obviously Papas. He's very talented, tremendous power. So I know he's got a bright future, and the other two also. All three kids have a bright future, and like Fernando says, hay Vargas para rato. So he his legacy continues, and they're gonna do big things because not only the father is pushing them and guiding them. He already had his career. He already know what's good and what's wrong, what he did wrong, what he did right. So he's gonna guide his kids the right way, and all three have a bright future. They signed with a great management team.
Yeah.
So they're in great hands. Shout outs to them. Because I know they've always supported me, my fighters, and I'm supporting them 100%.
And you know what? They're very marketable, good-looking kids. They got that swag.
Yeah.
They got that it factor. They never met a camera that they are shy of or didn't like. And even Senior, he's coming out the pocket looking like a Mexicano GQ. So they're doing big things, man, and very well deserved. I mean, his dad went through all those wars for his kids and for his family, and nothing but a bright future for the entire family.
Definitely.
Well, the questions don't stop. We're going to switch it up a bit, and we're going to talk some more about Jose Ramirez, only because Hall of Famer, top ranks Lee Samuel says, this is for Robert. Jose Ramirez is going into a tough physical 12-round main event with Jose Pedroza of Puerto Rico on March 4th at the Save Center, Fresno, California. Needed a plug, which is live on ESPN. How do you effectively train Jose, who is coming off such an emotional main event with Josh Taylor? How do you put the emotion aside and stay focused?
Yes, Jose is very motivated because, Jose is one of those proudful fighters, person. You know him also. Jose is one of those fighters or persons that doesn't like to lose. It doesn't have to be in boxing and anything else. If it's in another sport, if it's in whatever it is, Jose does not want to lose. And you know that, Richard.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids that hates to lose, and he lost his last fight. So the motivation that he has in the gym, the sparring that he's been getting from some of my guys, he's been sparring Alexis Rocha, top, contender. He's also sparring Giovanni, another top ranked fighter. Giovanni Santillan.
Yeah.
He's also he's been sparring Mikey, Hector Tanahara, and all the guys from my gym. But he's been sparring great. He's he's one of the guys that wants to come back stronger than before. He's motivated even more than he was before. So I think this fight is going to show the world that even though you could lose a fight, you could lose your title, if you don't give up, you come back right straight to the top. That's why he didn't want an easy fight. Jose said, "No, give me somebody decent," and I think Pedraza is more than decent. Pedraza's could easily be a world champion. He's a great fighter, but Jose's ready. Jose is motivated, and we can't tell him, "Oh no, Jose, we don't believe you could beat him. We gotta pick somebody easier." No, that would hurt him. I think saying yes to this fight was the best thing that could have happened for Jose.
I agree. I mean, you want to stay on that track moving forward steps. You never want to take a back step. Even after a defeat, fighters come back stronger. They come back better, as you know. I mean, we can go on and on with that list. But I do want to say this. What a lot of people don't know, and I like the term the people's champion, because that's one title that'll never be stripped from him. That's one title that'll never be removed from him, because he recently came to the high school at Madera High School, talked to the kids, motivated them. I mean, I'm talking about they did a great job. Channel 26 was there, 24, 47, 30. All the Mexicanos stations were there. Channel 21 were all there just to get a glimpse of Jose and hear his speech and hear his motivation of positivity for the kids. And I tell you what, that had to come so easy for Jose, because he didn't have to prepare. All he had to do was just tell his life story, because it's motivation himself. And he didn't even blink an eye about coming off a loss. He didn't put his head down and say anything. He held his head up high like the true champion that he is.
You know what? That's what a champion has to do. Come back the way he's coming back. Still talking to people, still going to schools. Like a true champion. He's never. People are always going to see him as a world champion, especially him that became the people's champion. People love him. People are always going to support him in Central California and all over California. People love Jose already because the way he is, the things that he does for his community, for his state, for his schools, for his teammates in my gym. He's one of those guys that's always motivating everybody else. He's always motivating everybody else, and that makes him a champion.
I will say this, and he's one of the few, Robert, that is very true to his word. If he says he's going to do something, it can be the littlest thing or something major. He is true to his word.
I agree with that, 100%.
Yes, I do. Now, this is coming from Showtime Sean Porter, who's actually in the news because of a little bit of controversy, and we'll talk about
Correct.
the statement.
I've been reading some of that.
About the statement that he's calling Boots Ennis overrated. So before we get to the question or the comment, I mean, what's your take on that? When another, because managers can say that, matchmakers can say that, but when another fighter says it to another fighter, I mean, is it? I don't want to use the word envy. Is it, I see something in you that I can take from you, or hey, I just see what I see?
You know what? I personally think Boots Ennis is the real deal. I think that kid is the future at welterweight division, but he still hasn't had those fights, those tests that are really gonna show the boxing world what he's about. And I think that's where Sean Porter is going at. Sean Porter has fought everybody, and he hasn't beat them all, but he gives them all they could handle. So he's a true warrior. He could easily say that about Boots, because Boots still needs those wins. Do I think he wins those big fights? I do believe Boots wins those big fights, but I understand what Sean Porter, where he's coming from also. There's also it could also be that he might be thinking of maybe giving it another shot at boxing, and maybe he wants to fight Boots, which would be huge for himself, because the whole boxing world believes and thinks that Boots is the next superstar in the welterweight division. Some people think he could already beat Crawford and Spence. Some people do believe that. So if he's starting that to maybe create attention for a promoter, Showtime in this case, to call him and say, well, there's some X and X amount of money. Do you want to do the fight? Maybe he'll do it. And look, his style and is difficult for anybody. And Boots Ennis has never been in the ring against somebody even close to Sean Porter. So I wouldn't mind watching that.
I wouldn't either. But he does say this.
And well, hold on. And if for some reason he's not very good with his dad for stopping the fight, I'm available.
Hey, you heard it right now. Sean, I'm going to call you after the show, okay? Showtime, Sean Porter. Robert, let's state your case one more time. Let's talk about your availability for Sean Porter.
You know what? I'm actually, I'm joking about it because I know he's got a great relationship with his dad. I know they're like best friends. So I would never even try to get into it. But, it seemed like the dad said things that Sean wasn't aware of or wasn't going to like. So if they're not in good terms and he wants to make a comeback, I said, I'm available. But, I'm joking around, Sean Porter, if he retires, he's definitely a legend in boxing. I've said it many times. He proved me wrong a few times, where I picked against him with other fighters and he won. I've always gonna respect that, and I'm never gonna deny that there was few times where I picked against him and he proved me wrong. He's a warrior. He's always friendly. He's happy. He's very likable on TV when he does the commentating, the interviews. You can't help it but love this man, and I wish him the best in his career as a retired man. And if he decides to return, like I said, I might be available.
There you go. Because he definitely made this comment. He said, I definitely want to know what's Mikey's next move. This is coming from Sean Porter.
You know what? I'm going to be very, very honest. And with Mikey, even myself, my dad, we don't know what Mikey's next move is because Mikey doesn't say much. He comes to the gym, gets a few rounds in sparring. Yesterday, he was in the gym. He did a few rounds, mids, heavy bag, just a light workout. But he likes to come and spar. He spars Jose right now that Jose's getting ready for a fight. So, he likes to come in just to get that out of his system. But do we know what's going to happen, what he's going to do next? Honestly, we don't. He just keeps it to himself. And we've, playing around, he tells us. He's told us many times. He told us yesterday when I told him he still needed to do 4 more rounds in the bag. He told me, what for? I'm already retired anyways. So I don't want to do any more rounds in the heavy bag. He still did those 4 rounds in the heavy bag, but playing around, he says, he's retired, not fighting again. Could be true too. Could be true. I really don't know. So thanks, Sean, for asking that. I know you're, he's a great, Sean Porter's a great person, and he wants to see everybody do good.
Well, you know what? Hey, we got number love for Mikey right here.
That's right.
I mean, and since we're doing this live, I'm going to open this up right here. I got a package in the mail. So I kind of think I know what it is, but I'm going to open it up here live on the show. So I brought some scissors so I don't fight with this, and I don't want to really let you see the delivery. It's from FedEx. That's their one plug. They're not sponsoring us, so I'm not going to mention them anymore. Right? So I got this package right here. I'm going to open it up. Okay, so you guys know I'm opening it up right now, and look what I get right here. Bam.
Oh, wow.
So if you don't have your pound for pound, the choice of champions, I suggest you order it now, man. I mean, because it has every supplement that you want. Mikey picked a winner here when he endorsed this product right here. And as you did too, Robert, because you use it respectfully in whenever you have an injury or just need to sleep or just relax, you use it. And it's a great recovery instrument for not only the fighters, but the athletes. And the 9-to-5 hard workers every single day, especially the Mexicanos that go out in the field, man, we got to get it in their hands as well. So I received my package today, and it has all these goodies, man. I hope it don't spill over, but the CBD line, man, there it is right there. Mikey Garcia. Appreciate the package, man. We support you, and not just because we got this. It just happened to come in the day that we're having you. So I said, you know what? I'm going to open it up on air, man. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
No, you know
right
what?
Here.
Pound for pound product, it's actually works really good, and not only for athletes, I have friends. My wife has got friends that have their older moms having trouble going to sleep. Either gummy bears or pills or drops. They work really good. They relax you. You go to sleep. You find there's also one for whenever you have like for my boxers, their elbows hurt, their shoulders hurt. So we rub it on their skin overnight, and they feel much better. That thing really works. And it's one thing that every boxer could use, because they might think, oh, I'm pretty sure it's got marijuana, or we're gonna test positive. No, you're not. It does not. It does not. It's definitely not gonna test positive at all.
And if you haven't ordered yours, order it now. www.pforpcbd.com. I mean, they also got some great gear as well as, so you can look good as you're tasting it, feel good, man, and recover. I'm just not going to be just a talker. I'm going to be a doer, man. I better not fall asleep on the air, man. Or maybe, hey, we'll see if it helps my voice a little bit,
Those are my favorite right there. At nights,
I
take a few. You just took one. I take 5 or 6, and just turn on my TV, and when I least expect it, I'm out, and I don't wake up till 7 or 8 in the morning.
Hey, get knocked out by pound for pound. Listen, Fresno, California. We talked about Jose Ramirez headlining the show, and there's no bigger impact once they're waiting for the main event and that music drops. I mean, it just hits. Boom. The crowd's excited. Robert's excited. I mean, Jose's excited. And here I go with you. How do you keep your composure, Robert? Because you're walking in with him, and you know that walk. You feel the jitters. You feel the butterflies, man. How do you keep composed? Because if you're rattled, your fighter's going to notice that. How do you stay composed in all your big fights?
See, you know what? It's something that I've been doing it already. So it's so long that it's part of me already. I love it also, with Jose, it's a special feeling. My son has said it many times that with Jose, when he fights in his hometown in Fresno, it's just different because, Jose walking out into the crowd, everybody, all the 15,000 people there are Jose's fans, and they love him for everything that he does with the community, with the farm workers, with the schools, with everything, that you could feel the love. You go to a Vegas show, you go to a Mayweather show, and people are just there because that's the event. Yeah. That's the place to be.
I agree.
They don't, it's not about the love that they have for the fighter. That's just an event. That's just the place to be, and everybody goes because of that. But with Jose, you could feel the love that the fans have for him. It's just one of those special feelings where it's hard to describe. And I love being part of somebody loved by his fans so much.
It has to be quite the experience, man. Also on the card, making his professional debut, the Olympian, the heavyweight Olympian, Richard Torres Jr., signed with Top Rank, and he's about to take the world by storm. Any advice you got to give to him walking out for the very first time? Any advice you have for Dad working the corner in such a big fight to this day in his own eyes, being not just father, but trainer now with his son making the walk into the ring?
Yeah, but you know what? They've been doing it their whole lives, in the amateurs. So they've already gone against the best in the world. Fighting in the Olympics and ending up in the finals. That means you already beat some of the best fighters in the world. So now the amateurs, with the right matchmakers that Top Rank has, I'm not saying they're going to be easy fights, but they're going to pick the right opponent. Yeah. So they should be comfortable. They should just go in and do their job. It's just another day in their job, go in there and do the job. Obviously with a big crowd, they might get a little nervous, but as soon as he steps into the ring, all that'll it'll be gone. You know, they'll be comfortable. They've done it many times before, so I think they're you know they're heading the right direction. You know, especially with Top Rank. I've always said it. Top Rank has probably the best matchmakers in the business. When it comes to building up a fighter, they know how to do it. So they made the right choice. You know, being with Top Rank.
Exactly. And don't call Brad Goodman during fight week. Do not, because that phone call will get X-rated real fast. He's doing his job, man. And hey, you got to respect the man doesn't sleep. He's constantly working and fixing up. Sometimes fighters pull out or whatever reason somebody gets sick. His job don't stop. He's the one that handles the calls weary hours of the night.
Exactly. From one day to another, especially right now, a lot of fights have, a lot of main events get canceled because of COVID, or a lot of replacements also. So, his job is to find a replacement, and sometimes he has to do it 2-3 days before the fight. So his job is not easy, but he is the best at it.
Yes, I agree. He's definitely one of the best in the world. Now, also on the card, we got the return of Stockton Zone 209 of young Gabriel Flores. Coming off his first defeat, and now he's back into the ring. You as a trainer with your experience, is that enough time? Because not only the physical part of a defeat, sometimes it hangs over a fighter mentally.
You know what? I don't think Top Rank forced him to fight this fast. I think he wanted it right away, and
that says a lot about his character.
That's good. That says a lot about the kid and the dad. They want to come back strong, and by taking this fight, with only not too long from his first loss, that means they're gonna come back stronger. Most of the times, a top prospect who's already ranked in the top 10 and already being talked about a future world champion, and then they end up losing a fight, they take a year off. They take 2 years off, because they just can't handle that loss. They came back stronger, I think. I think they're going to come back stronger. They picked a fight right away, and I think he's going to make a statement.
Very decent opponent, too. No slouch by any means.
Exactly. No. That's why I'm telling you, he's going to make a statement. He's going to come back stronger. I think sometimes fighters, I hate to lose too, but sometimes there's those cases where there's fighters that need to lose just to learn a little bit more, to learn what boxing is really about. I don't want to say this was his case, but it could easily be, where a loss is going to help you even more.
You were there at that fight, and you offered some words. I mean, it was a very emotional ending, and now around the corner, he's going to get back into the ring.
You know what? I was there, and it hurt to see that. Even though he's not one of my fighters, I know them personally. His dad, they come to my gym and do some sparring. They fight for Top Rank, which I have a lot of work with Top Rank, so I've seen his career. So it was one of those losses that hurt, made me feel bad, especially when he came out of the ring and came to me. It wasn't easy, but the mentality that he had, just the moment that he stepped out of the ring and told me, you know what, I'm coming back strong. That's a warrior right there. That's a true champion. And that kid still wanted to continue. It's not like, the dad wanted to stop it, which I think the dad was doing the right thing, but the kid didn't even allow it. He wanted to continue. Why? Because he's a warrior. He's one of those kids that grew up rough, and he'll die in the ring. He'll die in the ring, and he'll prefer dying in the ring than walking out losing a fight. That's just the way his heart is. But that's what I'm telling you. I know he's going to come back stronger.
I agree with you. And the very next day, before I plug a show that's happening in Madera, California, you got Fresno's own, Matchroom's own, Mark Castro be competing on DAZN March 5th. You had a chance to see him up live and personal. Of course, he was on the undercard of Mikey Garcia. What was your thoughts about that, your whole assessment, and how do you see his future progressing?
Well, you know what, Mark Castro, being the amateur star that he was, with so many national titles and world championships in the amateurs, I think he became a star just by everything he accomplished in the amateurs. Matchroom, signed him because of all that. You know, coming to his hometown and fighting, on a big card like that was the perfect performance. You know, Matchroom is also great at what they do. They're also very smart. So obviously, he only has 5 or 6 fights. So they picked the perfect opponent so he could shine in his hometown. You know, a lot of people, oh well, look at the guy that they put him in there. Well, that's Maxim's job. It's not the kid's job to pick his opponents. You know, Maxim does that, and I think they did the right thing to make him shine in his hometown. He'll become a superstar in his hometown, and hopefully one day he could fill up arenas like Jose Ramirez is doing it. His progress in his career, I personally believe and agree that what Maxim is doing is great. They're picking the right opponents. You know, there's a lot of times where you have an Olympian or a 13, 15 time national champion, so everybody expects him to be world champion by the time he's 10-0. But it's not the case with everybody. You know, there's very few Bam Rodriguez. There's very few Fernando Vargas that only had 14 fights, or Lomachenkos, who had like 3 or 4 professional fights. Very few of those. I think Mark Castro is that fighter that could become a world champion one day. But Matchroom, his management team, and obviously his dad, you don't fight 14 fights because somebody else has already done it. No, you know, Mikey won his title. I think his 29th or 30 professional fights. I became champion when I was 30-0. So, I think Mark Castro is one of those guys that needs to develop little by little, take their time. They don't need to rush it. If they rush it, they could make mistakes. They could really make mistakes. I think my perfect advice is pace yourself. Take time. Keep fighting those type of fighters that they're giving you. Keep building up your record. 25-0, 30-0, who cares? Just keep building up your record.
Very well said. Robert, you've trained for a while, and you weren't always the trainer you are today. You know, there was a skepticism, I believe. I don't want to chop that word up because I'm going to go back to this comment that was made my way. You learned as you went, and you learned from the best, but you were not always where you were at today. So during that learning process, there was probably people pointing the finger, saying, Robert Garcia, he's not a good trainer. Man, you're not even working this fighter out and so forth. And I'm probably sure that you thought to yourself, well, then why don't you come and hold these mitts? You know, my point is this. Someone made a comment because they said I butchered a fighter's name. Well, dude, I'm not even going to say your name, but you get your ass, you get your own show, and you grab the microphone, and we'll go toe-to-toe on the mic. Bro, because I know more in my pinky than you do in your whole freaking atmosphere about the sweet science. So enough said. Just because I'm a host doesn't mean I got to be a soft host.
You know what? In boxing, there's always those comments or people behind their computer that say so many things. You know, me as a trainer, last year, Mikey lost. Jose Ramirez lost his title. You know, it was, even though it was a very close fight because it was 6 rounds to 6, Taylor beat us because of the knockdowns, obviously. So he won the fight. So it's not like I'm saying we got robbed. Not at all. Taylor beat us. But my fighter still pulled off the later rounds. There was a few rounds that he still won after being dropped twice in the 6th and 7th round. So that says that tells you the condition that he had, the heart that he has to finish the fight strong like that. But at the end of the year, yeah, maybe my 2 top big names lost. So a lot of boxing experts behind their phones and behind their computers were saying that I suck as a trainer. But starting this year, my first fight of the year, which is Bam Rodriguez, he wins and looks sensational the way he did. Now, though, that same people are probably saying I'm the best trainer in the world. You know what I mean? It's just the way boxing is. That's the way boxing is. I love it because if they're talking about me, that means they want to continue seeing me. They're keeping their eyes on my work. They know everything I do. They see everything I do. So that means they're actually fans. They just like to hate a little.
They do, because the fighter that I got accused of butchering, I didn't even say his name. So maybe they're watching an older show. I don't know. But one thing I will say about you, Robert, you know what? Not only that, I mean, we didn't recognize that to this day. He is the youngest title holder, 22 years old. Before that, it was Devin Haney.
Correct, and he's the firstborn in the year 2000 to become world champion.
That's
so
right.
For history, 30 years from now, 100 years from now, he's the first ever born in 2000, in the year 2000 to become world champion. So that's already history. You know, he's already going to be in history for the rest of boxing's world. You know, the first champion. Who's the first? You know, we could probably go back and somebody probably knows who's the first champion in the 1900s. And there is one, obviously. There has to be.
There has to be. Exactly. There has to be.
Jesse, 100 years are going to go by, and you know he's the first born 2000 year 2000 world champion. So that's already huge right there. I'm already proud. You know, it gets. You know, I get excited just thinking about it.
And see, the thing about it is, Jesse's going to be the one asking the question: who was the first crown champion in the year 2000?
Correct.
2000. So you know, hey, history doesn't change, man. It only gets better.
That's right. No, I'm glad, you know, with the team that I have. And, you know, a lot of times also, you know, to me, I love when I have an amateur kid to turning them pro and winning a title, or those fighters that come to me after a loss when nobody really believes in them, and then we turn their careers around and make them world champions. I love that, you know. I love those challenges. You know, Jesse and Franco, they both turned pro with me, and now they're both world champions. They you know, they are in the smaller weight divisions where, as you and the whole boxing world knows, there's not even a big paydays with them. There's not a lot of money with them. But to me, that, you know, just building them from zero, from their amateurs to the pros and to becoming world champions, that's priceless.
It is. It is. And see, think about it, Robert. The very first time I walked into your gym, they were to the left of me. They were by the small ring. They were barely they were wrapping their hands. You said, Richard, these kids right here are the ones you want to talk. Make sure these are future world champions. And I have the old school video, the archives, when I went on the phone and interviewed both of them. And I'm glad I said to myself, because I always said this, Robert, that when I got into this, I was going to treat everybody like a champion. Not because they had 5 belts around them. Anybody that puts on the gloves and gets into the ring, I wanted to treat them as such, and I'm glad I was able to do that to those two, both Franco and Bam. But you said, Richard, make sure these kids are, and you gave me the whole lowdown on them. And I could have walked away with, I don't recognize them. They're not no, there was no way. There was no way. And the rest is history, because they're the same kids they were then that they are today. Very well-mannered. They're always, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They are, and very well disciplined. That's one of the main things. Those kids are disciplined. Once they come to training camp, they're focused on eating right, training right, doing the right thing. You know, they come to training camp. You know, where, you know, I have a lot of fighters, so I do have those kids that, you know, I don't live with them, but my assistants, they live with them. So I do have those fighters that at 10 at night sneak out to go to the gas station to buy a candy bar or something. They've told me, you know, I do have those fighters, but
I know a couple of them. I know a couple of them. I'm not going to put them on blast, but yeah, or so sneak or sneaking chips into training camp. Yeah.
But the difference is, look, the ones that don't do it, the ones that are focused, the ones that are dedicated, they're already world champions. And you know, and I've told all my fighters, you know, the ones that like to sneak out and go eat something that they're not supposed to. I've given them those examples. I also give them an example. A perfect example is, even though he's not even training with me anymore, but I always tell them, you were here when Virgil Ortiz was here, right? Virgil was dedicated. He was focused. He wasn't cheating. He wasn't cheating on running. He wasn't cheating on eating, on his food. He was focused 100%. Franco, Bam, they're dedicated. They're focused. So you guys have to follow those examples rather than the other ones that like to sneak out and go hang out on a Friday night or on a Saturday night. You gotta follow the steps are the ones that are dedicated.
Hey, you just tell them this, Robert. Say, hey, if I miss my prom, you're gonna miss your prom. Because I remember the story you told me. Hey, you didn't get to go to the prom because you had training or you had a tournament the very next day.
Exactly. No, it's true. That's why boxing is very difficult. That's why there's been so many talented fighters that don't make it to the top because they want to do everything else. They want to do everything else. They believe they're so good that they could still get away with doing everything else. But that not in boxing, man. In boxing is difficult. Boxing is a very lonely sport, and you have to put your heart into it, and it'll pay off at the end. But if you want to do everything else at the same time, then chances are you're not going to make it.
Well, I'll tell you what your gym has that a lot of other gyms don't have. And we're talking about a clean strength and conditioning coach. When I say clean, he's not in any controversy. And now let me say I was about to say Charles Tremblay, but let me say Dr. Charles Tremblay helps put that team together, keeps them strong, keeps them mentally strong, helps them recover mentally, physically, and even spiritually, because I know the man personally. You have a great team. When people walk into Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy, they're not just getting a trainer, they're getting familia, they're getting backup, and they're getting great habits that they can take with them to their families.
No, Charles is great. You know, the best conditioning coach that could have happened to my team. You know, he came in with Jose, obviously, and Jose's career throughout his career from the beginning to becoming world champion, Charles has been there with him. Jose, I've never seen Jose get tired in a fight, or even though he does, he's in such a great shape that he doesn't show it. So right away, I thought, man, I'm definitely going to use him with the rest of my fighters. Now he works with all of my fighters, and you've seen Bam, a young 22-year-old that had never been past 8 rounds. You've seen him go 12 rounds with a veteran like Carlos Cuadras, you know, one of those rough veterans that keeps coming. And Bam was able to finish the 12th round, still looking good, still looking sharp, and Dr. Charles had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, yes, he did. Now you're getting a personal invite right here. You know, Jose goes to war March 4th, and I was told, Richard, keep him in this area. Don't let Robert go anywhere. Because March 5th in Madera, California, a Daniel Gonzalez boxing team, amateur boxing, brings amateur boxing at its finest, is going to have an event the very next day in Madera. It's called the Madtown Throwdown. And he just inboxed me right now, and he said, you have a personal invite. He'd love to have you as the guest of honor there at that event. He knows it's short notice, so he's just throwing it out there right now through me.
Oh, that's nice. You know what? I was actually planning, you know, we have in San Diego, which is close to where I'm at, the Chocolatito fight. If I'm going to say this, if Matchroom does not, if they don't invite Franco and Bam to the fight, to the Chocolatito fight, because of obviously the same weight division, and they want me there, then I would love to stay, you know, and support support the team there. You know, I wouldn't mind. So I'll know more in the next couple of weeks, you know, when we're getting closer to the fight. If like I said, if Matchroom doesn't fly out Bam to San Diego to be there and maybe challenge the winner or something, or Franco, because they're both in the same division, then I wouldn't mind staying. But you know, we'll make that decision in the next couple of weeks. But I would love to definitely.
Well, you know what? Love to is the matchmaking that's taking place now. It's official. Shakur Stevenson, Oscar Valdez. It's signed on the dotted line. Easy fight to make. Top Rank Boxing. They did it again. They're making fights happen. Now, we can go back and forth on styles, and I'm not asking you to pick a winner today, because it'll probably change next week or as we get closer to the fight. But just talk to us about the matchup and what it does for the sport of boxing.
You know what? I think this is a great matchup. You know, honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen anytime soon. Valdez is a warrior, man. You know, he already showed it when he beat Berchet.
Well, the man owns a crocodile. Robert, the man owns a crocodile. A man-eating alligator. Was it crocodile, alligator, whatever it is, that's man-eating.
Exactly. I'm a huge fan of his. The kid showed the heart that he has. I've met him personally. He's a great kid, great person. So I'm definitely rooting for him. Shakur is a very, very talented fighter. Maybe pound for pound, one of the best in the world. But man, I gotta go with my man Oscar Valdez. Man, even my thoughts could be Shakur could probably easily outbox him and win a decision, but I'm rooting for Valdez because Valdez is a tremendous warrior. He's not afraid of anything. Nobody gave him a chance against Berchel, and he stepped in and did what he did.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised that he lands that one punch and finishes that fight.
Hey, anything can happen in boxing, and
Correct.
somewhere down the line, both men are going to have their way. But when you're dealing with the man with the tenacity of Valdez and the power, we're not just talking about a knockdown. I mean, he can get you out of there with one single punch. Now, Shakur, I believe the best is yet to come, but we shall see, because this reminds me of a modern day, smaller version of Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran.
Right. No. This is a huge fight for boxing. You know what? Because nobody really expected that this fight was going to happen that soon, and I'm glad it is, because this is helping boxing with all this big fights going on right now, and you know Canelo and Spence coming back, and all these big, huge fights around the corner, the heavyweights, especially with Tyson Fury and Usyk and AJ. They boxing is big right now,
Yes.
and then you get a super featherweights fighting each other like this, when, like I'm telling you, I didn't expect it to happen this soon. This helps boxing. It definitely helps boxing, especially the smaller weight divisions.
It does, man. It really does. And before we move on, I'm going to ask you one last question, then I got to let you go, man. I've talked to you, Robert, about a lot of different fighters, and with the exception of your brother, because you've seen him grow. Whenever you seem to talk about Bam and Franco, I mean, there's a glow that comes around you of happiness, because they didn't come your way after they won bouts. This is from the ground up.
Correct. See, like I told you earlier, those are the best feelings, and sometimes you might have I might have a world champion, like Jose Ramirez came to me as a world champion. He came to me as a world champion, but I did not count him as my world champion until I won a title with him, and that's when he beat Maurice Hooker. We won a title with him. We won the WBO title with him. So even though he was a world champion, I did not make him a world champion. So he wasn't counted as one of my world champions. But most of the times when I get a fighter, like a Marcos Maidana or a Abner Mares or a Brian Viloria, who everybody's already probably thinking they're never going to make it again, and they don't have any chance anymore, and we bring them back to become world champions. Those are those wins right there are priceless. Or building a kid from the amateurs to the pros, being there in their pro debut and then winning titles like Franco did, and like Mikey did, Brandon Rios did, now Bam, coming from the pro debut to become world champions. That's priceless. Sometimes you could have a fighter that is that could make millions and millions of dollars, and you could make a lot of money, but if you're not happy with them, and if the fighter's not happy, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'd rather work with somebody that appreciates my work, and that I've built from zero to becoming world champion. That's priceless.
It is. Now, speaking of priceless, man, I mean, once again, my team broke my heart. As you know, we're both Dallas Cowboy fans. Who do you have in the Super Bowl, Robert? The Cincinnati Bengals or the Rams?
Well, you know what? I think the Rams, because obviously because of local. I like to support local teams. Obviously, I'm from California, so I'm from Southern California, so I got to go for the Rams. I'm not a Rams fan, but they are in the Super Bowl, and I prefer going to the LA team than Cincinnati. Why would I? What do I have in Cincinnati? You know what I mean? I think
The Charlo brothers.
I'll actually be in San Antonio, Texas, watching the game. So I'll be watching from San Antonio. But yeah, definitely the Rams.
Well, you know what? I beg to differ, man. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with Cincinnati Bengals. I thought they were the sleeper in the playoffs, and I'm
Oh,
willing
they
to
were. They were definitely.
and I'm willing to put Mike Corona against your Modelo. How's that?
You know what? For the last since the new year, I've been drinking a lot of water. I haven't had a beer yet, but we will after Jose's fight.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you go.
So it is. It is. So if the Rams win, you're gonna buy me a Bud Light. That's what I
Okay,
want.
oh,
Bud
okay.
Light.
Bud Light, huh? Okay.
And if you win, then I'll buy you whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll take Corona Light with lemon, not
Right.
lime. There you
Perfect.
go. There you go.
Perfect.
Robert,
And that's after the fight.
that's after the fight. That's after Jose's victory, and then we're gonna
Yes.
sit down and we're gonna start mentioning some other names that'll be coming around.
Exactly.
You recently celebrated a birthday, so a late happy birthday, which I already congratulated you. How was your birthday like, man? I mean, why was this year different from all the other birthdays?
You know what? My 47th birthday. We didn't do much. My dad is with me 24/7. He's here in my house right now. He goes home late at night just to go to sleep, or most of the time I go to his house and I'm there till 9:30, and then I come home. We don't live far from each other. I just recently moved to this house where I'm at, to your house, to be closer to my dad, because a year ago when my mom passed,
Yeah.
it wasn't easy for my dad. So I need to be close to him. I'm with him every day, all day, and him being around, he still hasn't recovered from my mom's loss. He still hasn't recovered. So we had a dinner together with my wife, my kids, my sisters, and my dad, but nothing big. We just hang out, had a good dinner, and that was about it. We didn't celebrate, we didn't drink, we didn't do anything. It's still not easy, especially having my dad around. I'm more, the way I see it is, the way I personally see things is, okay, we have to understand that life goes on. One next day, another day, it's going to be me, and my kids are going to be sad. So, but they got to move on. Life moves on. You know that, bro. You've been there. So, but it's not easy, bro. And
No.
you more than anybody know it.
Yeah.
So with my dad, it hasn't been easy. We have to be with him. We have to support him 100%. Me, Mikey, my sister Jackie, my sister Delia, we're with them every day, every single day.
Well, that's great, man, and that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Do we have these pictures up there? Because we missed a birthday yesterday. I believe it was Brian Lua's birthday yesterday. So late happy birthday to Brian Lua.
That's right. Happy birthday to Brian.
Yeah, and that's a whole different show. I want to talk about Brian later on in his career and see what needs to take place where he can live up to his potential. And also, do we have the picture? Because tomorrow's my sister's birthday. I want to give her a shout out too. We can bring that picture up right now. So just bear
Happy
with.
birthday to your sister.
Yeah, and she's gonna like that. See, what I did is I posted it 2 days ago because I thought her birthday was the 8th, and then my other sister is calling me saying, "Richard, no, it's not." And I said, "Well, then Facebook lied to me." Because Facebook lied to me. I went off Facebook, man. So
wow.
I posted something, but no, it's not to the 11th, man. And yeah, it's my sister Sylvia. I love her, and Brian too. I love him too, man. I support and every move that he does. Yeah, okay, there we go. We got a picture right there. Sylvia, I love you. Early happy birthday. Tomorrow is your day, and make it the best day of your whole life. So I know I keep saying I'm gonna let you go, but I promise you, this is the last thing. You had some fighters live with you. They went through training camp with you. They did the road work with you. They lived life like a champion. Well, I said to myself, I want to do something that nobody else has ever done. I want to bring one of your fighters, which I already made contact with, on the show. And I want to talk to him about the experience that he had hands-on living at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy, the lifestyle of a champion through training camp. So I'm going to get his plus side, what he learned and what he can give back and so forth. So when that show drops, man, I'm going to have you ask some questions, or we'll have a surprise appearance by you, because I've always thought, man, that'd be so cool. And I know each fighter has a story to tell.
Definitely. That's awesome. We had a great experience. We loved it. We were actually planning on doing another one the month of March, but there's, we did it. We're not gonna do it anymore. We might do it closer to the summer because of a possible fight that we might get, that I'm going to be very busy. So that's why we decided not to do it, because I don't want to do something if I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
The fighters themselves, their parents or their managers, they send them over because they want me to be there, obviously. So if I don't think I'm going to be there, that's why we had to cancel the March one we were going to have.
Yeah.
But if everything goes well, we're going to definitely have one in the summer.
Well, hey, man, I look forward to it, and I want to get the take of these fighters, man. And I don't just have you on the show. I care about you, your gym, and I'm excited when news breaks. And when you guys get a victory, I share that victory too. I mean, because when Bam won, bro, I was emotionally like, I felt just a little bit of what you guys felt. Because to me, I felt
Of
like,
course.
well, that's a part of me, man. Because I'm supportive
It
100%, and just I embraced it. I love it. You always make it positive when you're on the show. You always welcome me with open arms to your gym. Robert, you've since the very first time I met you in Fresno, you're the same person today, man. And I appreciate the class, the hospitality, and just the generosity, and just a class act every time you're on the show, Robert.
Thank you, Richard. And I've how I feel about you. Same thing. You've always been great to me, my team, and my gym is your gym. So anytime you want to come by, you're more than welcome.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. Robert, I want to thank you once again, man, being on the show. I want to thank the viewers, the followers, and if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, man, I got to see, Robert got that unfiltered YouTube, and it's blowing up. I need to get his recipe. I need to get these followers and supporters. So follow your brother right here. That's www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. Remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. It's a wrap with Robert Garcia, the former world champion and soon to be first ballot worldwide Hall of Famer. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.